death is just the worst thing I could think of. It's the end of everything. It's not a new start. It's a complete halt. To me, being dead means not being.
That brings me to the question of how long would you like to live?
Long enough.
Long enough?
Yeah. I hear all the time from people who say they're not afraid to die. Really? How about if I put a loaded gun to your head? Then would you be afraid? Of course you would. We all would. It's because surviving, going on, is our most primordial urge. There's nothing more fundamental than that. And its opposite, its precise opposite, is death. Then there's the people who say, oh, I'm not afraid to die, I'm afraid of growing old. No. No. That's pure sophistry. Growing old is dying in slow motion. People often see the story of Dr. Frankenstein as this, horror story, but I think the good doctor has been misunderstood. There was a book that had a formative influence on me. It's called The Prospect of Immortality by Ettinger. It had some of the flaws you might associate and some of the prejudices you might associate with a B film, horror or science fiction picture. But it also got me thinking. It clarified many of my thoughts, and soon I was on this journey. I was discovering how you could repair human tissues or cartilage after freezing them, how you could replace old organs with new ones, or even to repair the old ones, to reverse the aging process itself through the power of cryogenics. All these questions and issues were swirling about my head, and this book helped to focus them and to point me in the direction of the future. The idea of cryonics is to take a person who may be at the brink of death and to lower their body temperature to the point of liquid nitrogen, about -320 Fahrenheit. Then we remove the blood from their body and replace it with a sort of antifreeze agent. This way, the person could be frozen for 10, 50, 100 years. I mean, indefinitely.
You'll still age, though, right?
Possibly.
Couldn't you still die while you're in?
I mean, technically, yes. But for all intents and purposes, no. I mean, we won't allow it to happen, is what I'm saying. But really, more research needs to be done on the topic.
What about the cost?
Well, the average freezing goes for about $100,000. Now, that might sound steep, but remember, we're giving you the gift of eternal life. I mean, what's the life insurance you have now? It's death insurance. All it does is pay someone else when you die. No. We are the true life insurance, you see.
Now, why is it you had to finally shut down the lab?
Well, my colleagues and I were operating out of a rundown motel with what little research funds we had. We could only afford to freeze the heads, so we were severing the heads and freezing them and disposing of the rest of the bodies. Those were the days. It was the rats, the hookers, the drug dealers, and then us, the cryonics. But anyway, one morning we wake up to the knock of police at the door, and they barged in. There was a family accusing us of freezing a member of theirs without their permission, and, it was all trumped up, but, what are you gonna do? The police started unplugging all of our patients. It was very traumatic. We lost 9 patients in all. It was a great tragedy. kicked off a media frenzy. We never really regained the respect of that community. They said we were severing the heads of live people and total nonsense, but we moved along in time. At least the rats were happy, though.